for real what we're actually doing is some product shots on a budget. So we don't have the space for a big studio and we can't get into one this weekend, and we've got some nice new t-shirts. We're setting up a small studio in here using a white sheet, which I'm ironing right now, and some lights, and yeah, we're going to fold the t-shirts up, take some nice pictures, and you're hopefully going to buy them.
Kind of ironed the sheet, yeah, exactly. But what we're trying to do here is basically set up a home photo studio. So we've ironed a white bed sheet, and what we're going to do is just basically pin it to the wall, and then roll it down so we get like a seamless sort of background. So this is something that you guys can basically do at home if you want to create like a little home studio.
So I'm just going to pin this up with pins. So now I've got it pinned, just want to make sure corners are even. Just pull out lightly. You do still want a bit of a curve there because that stops any shadows, and then it's really just a case of pulling the sheet wherever it pulls the creases out. So if there's any big creases and obvious shadows, they're going to show up in your pictures. They are easy enough to edit out, but we're going to be shooting a white t-shirt as well today, which makes it a little bit harder sometimes if your method of editing out is just to expose the whites quite a lot. So if you brighten your whites, obviously it's just going to pull all that out, brighten your shadows a little, it's going to pull all those out, but try and keep that to a minimum. It saves a lot of work in post-production. We'll try and get the t-shirts on it, we're going to fold them up nicely. So one of the more important things when you're shooting photos of products, I guess, but more especially clothes, is the fold. So I've just finished ironing these t-shirts and I'm going to fold them. I like to fold things in little stacks like this, it keeps them quite well propped up, especially if you've got a logo. Depending on your size, you can pretty much show the entire logo, and then when you stack them together they look nice and neat. When I do that, we've got these little foam things. Used to use these when I worked in retail, so if you've worked in retail you've probably seen them before, but you can buy them online pretty cheap, and it's just a little thin layer of foam, but it just acts as something to one, fold around, but then also helps the t-shirt keep its shape. So what I've done here is I like to kind of get a 2-finger width between the logo itself and the edge of the t-shirt, so I've kind of marked that about there, and then just kind of fold as you would normally a t-shirt. So sides in first, just make sure you're kind of pulling it tight, fold your sleeve in, same from the back, make sure you're pulling it tight to the foam. If you've not got foam or you don't want to buy it, you could probably use something like tissue paper would work, or even like some sheets of A4 paper maybe stacked, like, I don't know, you only want about 5mm thick. Just to keep its shape. So pull the bottom up, make sure you're kind of pulling it all tight as you go, and then pull the collar so you keep the foam just below the collar, because you don't necessarily want that showing. It can be quite messy, and also depending on where the logo is on the t-shirt, they're usually off center, so you're actually not folding it down the middle. And then I go halfway from the bottom, so feel where the logo is. You want to meet this with the logo on the back, roll it over, and there you go. Nicely folded t-shirt. So now that we've got our sheet out and we've got the t-shirts folded up, I've set the kind of scene here. I've got my 3 lights. I'm using this main key light here to light from as close to directly above as I can get to eliminate any kind of annoying shadows. It's got a big diffuser on it, so it's spreading a nice soft light across the whole image. And then I've got these 2 lights beside me here just to counterbalance any shadows. The one on the left of me is slightly brighter than the one on the right of me, That is just because I want a slight shadow on the right hand side where we're shooting. We've got the logos on the right hand side of the t-shirt, that's the main focus point of the image. So I want a slight shadow there just for some depth in the picture, but I don't want it too harsh, which is where this one comes in. This one just balances out that. I can brighten that one up to eliminate the harshness of that shadow. And then today I'm shooting with my Canon 5D Mark III, quite an old camera now in terms of technology. And I'm using a Sigma 35mm 1.4 art lens. The reason I've chosen the 35 is just because it's a nice simple fixed aperture lens. I kind of prefer to move back and forward rather than zoom. It also has very little distortion in a 35mm. It's quite a nice flat image. Because I'm quite close to these, I don't want it to be too distorted. It does go up to f4. I'm not using f1.4 today, just because that's a little bit too shallow a depth of field. I'm shooting with f2.5, so I'm still getting a nice crisp image, but I've got a little bit of play for some handshake basically. Shooting at 1/200 of a second, so that again it can be quick enough that as I'm shooting freehand it's not going to get any motion blur, and I've got my ISO at 200 just to balance everything else out. You do want quite a slow shutter speed just because of the lights you're using. They tend to be LED and that can cause a bit of a wave across the image. You'll probably have seen this before. That happens just purely because light waves and the rate that your camera picks up those waves. So you kind of want a slow enough shutter speed that you're not seeing those, and quick enough that you're not going to get any motion blur if you're not using a tripod. You don't have to use a professional camera or anything, and you don't have to have anything as low as 2.5. You can counterbalance that through moving your lights closer, moving yourself closer, or just using a different ISO. I've actually taken some pictures on my phone and they still look great. So yeah, if you get your light set up, you're pretty good with any camera really, depending on how professional you want it to look, but you can still get some fantastic looking shots just with an iPhone. That's just finished the shoot. We'll just run over some key points for setting up your home studio. As we spoke about first off, sheet's quite an important thing. You do want just a nice, clean, crisp white sheet. Iron it beforehand if you can. You might want a black sheet as well, depending on what you're taking pictures of. If it's a light coloured product, it's sometimes nicer on a dark background. When you are setting up your sheet, most important thing is to try and avoid having a corner in there. So pin it against the wall if you can. So that you've got something that's just, there's, I guess, horizonless, keeps a nice curve on it and stops any harsh edges. Then your lighting is probably the most important thing. You want ideally 3 lights. They're nice and cheap to buy. We're going to link them in the description below. If you are shooting smaller products, you can get these really nice light boxes too, that you just get a sheet of card in, like green, black and white, and you can shoot nice product things in there, so we'll link them below as well. And then camera, you can shoot with anything. If it's a case that you just want to do this for uploading your old clothes onto Depop, then you might just want to take the pictures on your phone, but it's worth investing in some half decent lights. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have fun setting up your studios at home, and please like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the little bell if you want to get a notification every time we upload a video, and tell us in the comments below if you would like to see more videos like this.